It's day 16 of the month of September in the year 2025. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the news hub here at Adesari Kanda. We are live on Facebook is TV3 Ghana and on DSTV is channel 279. My name is Josh Quinn. Top of the stories is out. Fuel prices projected to rise sharply from today as Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies projects an increase in petrol, diesel and LPG. Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni urges political leadership to take bold measures to deal with illegal mining menace in the country. Also coming up this morning, Attorney General and Minister for Justice Dr. Dominic Ayine charged Ghana Bar Association over what he describes as selective interest in legal cases in Ghana. Well, we have details of these stories and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. Remember, you can also get interactive with us. We are live on Facebook as TV3 Ghana. Let's begin from the energy sector as the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, says the recent depreciation of the local currency, nearly 8% over the past 2 weeks, is driving an expected increase in fuel prices from today, September 16. According to the Chamber, prices of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, diesel and petrol are projected to rise by up to 6%.
The local currency has weakened from 11 cedis 20 pesos to 12 cedis 7 pesos within a fortnight. COMAC estimates that the pump price of petrol could reach 14 cedis 17 pesos per litre, while diesel may retail at around 14 cedis 67 pesos. LPG is expected to rise by 4.23%, hitting almost 15 cedis per kilogram.
The depreciation of the cedi we've seen over the past 2 years will also add to that. But getting to the end of the month, we expect prices to stabilize. We expect the price of finished product to stabilize at the end of the month. And if the cedi is also held in check, then we expect a very stable pricing from end of this month going.
Despite the outlook, the Chamber remains optimistic that the cedi could rebound in the coming weeks.
We believe in the Finance Minister's ability to still keep the cedi where it is. If not bring it down to the 10 and the 11, we will be happy if it comes down, because once it comes down, the price of the product comes down and consumers are able to patronize.
Well, away from the energy sector, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has challenged the Ghana Bar Association over what he describes as selective interest in legal cases in the country. Speaking at the 2025 Ghana Bar Conference, he challenged the bar to speak out, but not to please the government or the opposition.
At the Ghana Bar Association annual conference in WA, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, accused the GB of failing to show fairness in its positions on critical national issues. He argued that the association's voice often mirrors that of the opposition rather than maintaining neutrality.
The three petitions aforementioned touch and concern office holders of three constitutional bodies critical to the sustenance of our democracy. The independence of the three institutions has been guaranteed by the Constitution. The three occupants were all women of significant repute and members of our noble profession. The three committees established pursuant to Article 146 complied with the constitutional procedure to the letter. And yet, the bar found its voice only in relation to the third petition. Coincidentally, the voice of the bar amplified the voice of the opposition.
The Attorney General pointed to the association's silence during the removal of former Electoral Commission chairperson Charlotte Osei and her deputies as compared to its vocal opposition to the recent process to remove Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu.
Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures, were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice. Honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed?
But GBA President Ifeagate noted that the bar was concerned about the processes involved in the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu.
The bar recognizes the fact that the power of removal can be exercised under Article 146. But the bar's major concern relates to the process. In the absence of specific rules of procedure, the sketchy process potentially lends itself to arbitrariness and a lack of fairness. Hence, the bar's resolution on the matter.
The theme for the Ghana Bar Association's 2025 Annual General Conference is Sustaining the Fourth Republican Constitutional Democracy, the Role of the Judiciary and the Legal Profession.
Meanwhile, Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny has urged political leadership to take bold and far-reaching measures to bring the menace of illegal mining to an end. His speech was read on behalf by Justice Hafizata Amaliboba at the opening of the 2025 Annual General Conference of the Ghana Bar Association in WA.
Considering the unspeakable death, pain, and destruction that Galamsey has brought to this country, I urge political leadership to take bold and far-reaching measures to bring this menace to a long overdue end. We cannot continue to dither. In September 2025, on the repeal of the Environmental Protection, Mining in Forest Reserve Regulations 2022, LI 2462, which has permitted mining in forest reserves. It is a good place to start if we sincerely want to win the war against Galamsey. The time to act is now, without any further delay.
Well, away from the Ghana Bar Association, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has assured Ghanaians that strict safeguards have been put in place to ensure that convicted hardened criminals cannot be brought into Ghana. Under an agreement with the United States, Ghana has agreed to accept West African nationals transiting through Ghana after deportation from the U.S. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa was speaking at Government Accountability Series. Take a listen.
Ghana's action was guided solely by our moral responsibility, our legal obligations under the 1992 Constitution and ECOWAS protocols, our distinguished Pan-African track record, and historic and legendary leadership in championing the rights of all Africans. Let me emphasize that under this understanding with the United States, Ghana must first independently vet the background of those the U.S. intends to deport to first satisfy ourselves that they do not pose any threat to the security of our country and that they cannot harm our citizens. We have put in place strict safeguards to ensure that convicted, hardened criminals cannot be brought into our country under this understanding. The Mahama administration will never compromise the safety and well-being of Ghanaians. This understanding with the U.S. has been thoroughly discussed by Cabinet and has also received the Attorney General's advice. By established convention, MOUs are not sent to Parliament for ratification. I have inherited hundreds of MOUs from the previous administration, which were not sent to Parliament for ratification. May I assure the nation that if this initial understanding is elevated into a full-blown agreement, we shall not hesitate to comply with Article 75 of the 1992 Constitution by proceeding to Parliament for ratification.
Well, let's just stay with the Foreign Affairs Minister, as the Sector Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has announced the revision of visa processing procedures for Chinese nationals as part of government's renewed measures to combat illegal mining. The Foreign Affairs Minister was speaking at Government Accountability Series in Accra.
Very great relations with China, and to be fair to the Chinese, a lot of them are doing good business. They are investing in transformative projects. There is no official China government policy to come and destroy our environment. And they have made clear anytime we have engaged with officials in Beijing, they have been supporting us to get rid of their nationals who come in. And as you do know, we have been cracking down, arresting them, prosecuting them, and we will continue with the arrests and prosecutions. I can confirm to you that as part of my recent visit to China, I went to the state where they are notorious for sending their nationals here to engage in Galamsey. I met with the governor, the city authorities, and Director Asia is here. He can confirm that in that meeting, I did not mince words at all. I really stated President Mahama's position that this cannot continue. We welcome good investors to come partner with us and transform our economy, but we will not accept you sending your nationals here to engage in Galamsey. And we made that very clear to the city authorities. What we have also done subsequently following that meeting is that we have a new policy now at our embassy in Beijing and our consulate in Guangzhou, where we no longer process group visa applications. That's the new policy. Everybody must show up for an interview, and no matter if you claim you are coming for a conference, an excursion, whatever, you must all produce yourselves individually and apply individually. So there's a strict directive that no more group processing of visas, which was one of the outcomes of the meeting we held with the city authorities. I forget the name of that city. The Guangxi province, and the city specifically is Nanning, yes, Nanning. So I can assure you that we are dealing with that matter very fairly in our national interest, because this Galamsey menace is really a menace that all of us must confront, and it aches my heart. It gives all of us sleepless nights. It is an existential threat we face, and if we don't deal with it boldly and ruthlessly, we are virtually on a suicidal path. And the little we can do as foreign ministry, making sure that at least we stop suspicious characters from coming in, we are doing that. Of course, we are not responsible for going into the field and removing those who are engaged in that. We have other ministries who are capable and competent in dealing with the ground menace.
Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. And now, embattled Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Kwame Bafo, also known as Abronye DC, has been granted bail by the Accra Circuit Court on the third attempt by his lawyers. Abronye, who is facing charges of false publication and offensive conduct to the breach of peace, was arraigned before the court over a comment he made against the Inspector General of Police. Lodi Dwasare reports.
After Friday's remand of the NPP Bono Regional Chair drew a lot of backlash, lawyers of Abronye went to court again to repeat a bail application. Led by Daniel Mate Ado, the lawyers indicated that Abronye's health was in a steep decline since the last time they were in court. He prayed the court to grant his client's bail, a plea which was not opposed by the prosecution. The presiding judge then granted the NPP Bono Regional Chair a 50,000 cedis bail with one surety without justification. The court also ordered him to report to the police every Wednesday. Daniel Mate spoke to the media after the hearing.
My client's health was an issue that needed urgent attention. I even attempted to visit him yesterday, but I couldn't get access to him because I couldn't get clearance to see him. But his health is, a serious issue that he needs urgent attention. And that was the basis why I had to run back to the court and pray to my Lord, my Lord, this is the issue. There has been changes in circumstances, so my Lord, hear me and then hear my prayer. And lo and behold, my Lord heard me.
Abronye DC was arrested on September 8 on a charge of offensive conduct conducive to a breach of public peace. According to the police, the Bono Regional Chair made inflammatory remarks against the Inspector General of Police. Prior to his arrest, Abronye applied for political asylum to 8 countries, Côte d'Ivoire, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Canada, Spain, and Germany. In those requests, Abronye cited persistent political persecution, threats to his life, and alleged misuse of state security powers under the current administration. He is set to reappear at the Accra Circuit Court on October 7. TV3 News, Accra.
And now the capital of the Asante Kingdom, Kumasi, has been transformed into a sea of Kosolen black and red as the official week-long funeral rites for the late Asantehemaa Yadon. The third commenced Monday morning at the Menchia Palace. The somber yet grand ceremony marks a period of official mourning for the kingdom, honoring the life and legacy of the Queen Mother who passed away in the month of August.
The air in the Menchia Palace is thick with the sound of traditional dirges from the Fontom from Tuetumpan drums, signal the profound loss felt by Asantehemaa. Dressed predominantly in traditional mourning colors of red and black, attendees observe strict customs as a sign of respect. This week is a sacred period for Asantehemaa, and each day will feature specific traditional rites. The ancient customs are being followed to ensure a dignified transition for the late Queen Mother.
When we came, we realized so many things here concerning the traditions and customs of the Asantes. And we've come to the conclusion that the Asantes, their customs and traditions is a combination of unity and peace. So as we realize it, we are advising the youth to learn from this tradition, that we are together. We should unite ourselves so that peace will prevail.
Asantehemaa, we were amamre me amane and kabomu a cruye any koso any everywhere.
And I quite do Tiani and Yabasia Babwa, what you call Gosso, Yanina, Ayadot, and wanting the free Paris, Ayaba.
The funeral rites are expected to culminate in a grand barrier ceremony on Thursday, September 18, which will be attended by heads of state, traditional rulers from across Africa, and other high-profile personalities. Security has been tightened around the palace and its environs to ensure order, as Asantehemaa expects an even larger influx of mourners in the coming days. The late Asantehemaa, who reigned for 8 years, was revered as the embodiment of wisdom and stability within the royal household and the entire kingdom. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
And now more than 200,000 homes across 5 coastal communities in the central and greater Accra regions risk being wiped out by the sea following the destruction of a critical sea defense through illicit sand winning. Sunny Niblau has more in this report.
The government constructed a massive sea defense wall at Gomwa-Fetek Akraba in the central region to combat rapid sea erosion and protect lives and property. Standing about 20 meters high and 50 meters thick, the embankment was designed to shield communities from flooding and prevent the sea from taking over more land. But years of sand winning along the coastline have now compromised the safety net. The once formidable embankment has shrunk drastically from 50 meters thick to barely 4 meters, leaving Fetek Akraba and neighboring communities exposed to dangerous tidal waves. Residents say the situation worsens at night when rough tides push seawater dangerously across the depleted area of the sea defense. Experts warn that if urgent steps are not taken, the remaining embankment could collapse, unleashing floods that could sweep through Fete, Kaswa, Tuba and other adjoining settlements with devastating humanitarian and economic consequences. Environmental campaigners who visited the site expressed shock at the scale of destruction. An environmental advocate, Patrick Winnibod Indegu, called on the Environmental Protection Authority, EPA, to swiftly arrest and prosecute those behind the destruction.
This one is more dangerous than fighting Galamsey. So we are craving the indulgence of the President of the Republic of Ghana to come
to our aid, and also arrest the name that has been mentioned to prosecute them and let the law work, because nobody can take the law into their hands. So earlier the better. We should fight against this one, and we know the people, they need to be arrested.
For now, the communities of Gomafete Kakraba and beyond sit on a ticking time bomb, a coast vulnerable to disaster unless urgent intervention is made. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Central Region.
Well, there was so much excitement as the majority of candidates who sat for the 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASSCE, wrote their final papers yesterday, that was Monday. From Takrade in the Western region, my colleague Abraham Mensah interacted with some of the students.
The 2025 WASSCE started on August 4 with a section of the candidates taking their final papers today, Monday, September 15. There was euphoria. These students felt relieved of the pressures of burning the midnight candle. They hope their toil will come with excellent results that would grant them entry into tertiary education. But for some, it was rather heartbreaking, as they will miss the friendship they enjoyed in school.
A little bit excited, but on the other way, I'm not excited because I will not be able to see my friends again, my teachers and all this stuff. My grandma always says life starts after SHS, so I think it's going to be difficult.
Well, it's very nice, and we are very excited to finally leave the walls of GSTs, the four corners of GSTs, actually.
Expect nothing but the best from GST.
The best,
yes.
the best. The best come from the West. And when you come to the West, it's in Ghana Secondary Technical School.
Yes. Finally, we are proud giants. Yes, we are giants.
I feel very excited. Today is my last day in SHS, and my school daughters were crying because I'm leaving them in this school. I feel so amazing. I wish my mom was here to congratulate me, but unfortunately, my mom is not here. So it's cool. Oh, I want to see myself in something maybe nursing, or I want to be someone special who everyone wants to see, like, oh, Ben, I want to be like you, something like that.
While their colleagues prepare to leave campus, some students, particularly those pursuing technical courses, are still preparing to write their final papers by September 19, 2025. Abraham Mensah, TV3 News, Takrade.
Well, we wish these very students the very best in their endeavors. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Good morning.
Welcome to NLA 590 Mobile. Today, we will discuss how you can win cash by playing 590 on your phone or online. Visit 590mobile.com.gh or dial *59# on any handset or network and choose option 1 on the menu for Direct 1. Select one number from 190 as your Direct 1 number. You win 40 times your stake amount, only if your selected number is the same number that appears first in the draw. Thank you for your attention. And remember, you can stake your favorite NLA 590 lottery on your phone or online right now. All wins are paid same day, in full, and direct to your Momo.
Please dial 030-824-9477
for any assistance. 590 Mobile. Let down some.
And by the time I come back, you have a Akable's collection, like you have a whole musical collection. I was called in the morning, very early in the morning, whilst I was trying to rest from GMB. I should come and watch TV, and that Akable, lawyer Esquire Akable, is rapping. And you hid all these from me all these years. I didn't even know that you could rap.
I think the grace is sufficient. That's the message this morning.
goodness.
And yes, yesterday we did a thing or two with, arguably, in my opinion, I mean, the best rapper around.
The God
Manifest.
MC.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very amazing song. No shortcuts to heaven.
So who taught you how to rap like that?
No, I think it just came naturally from listening. I listen to like that song almost every morning when I'm coming to work. So it was just more like instinctively. But
really?
this morning we are doing blind.
But I thought you were going to rap to Stormzy.
Yes, I can.
Oh, you can rap some. So should we bring it back?
No, it's fine.
Anita,
I mean, no.
Harriet, please bring it back. No, because I want to see it for myself. Because yesterday it looks like it was. Was it AI yesterday?
No, it wasn't AI. I have what's it called? What the psychologists call it performance anxiety. It needs to flow more naturally. But I was.
So if I put you on the spot, it will not happen.
No, it won't work. It won't work. I'll just shut down. But I mean, the message. I don't know what to think of the message of the song. You know, sometimes grace is like they say unmerited favor. Unmerited favor. I mean, you can't acquire it through your actions or inactions. It's just something that is granted to you. And Stormzy says that he's blinded by the grace of the Lord covers him. It enables him. There's a part of the song where he says he's on the stage running around topless. He makes reference to his mom. He says that like her son is just running on the stage, the big stages, topless, about how God can lift him from nothing and take him to this level. Are you going to say amen at some point in time?
Amen.
Thank you. But it's good to see you once again. We struggle to do the connection from watching you on GMB on Sundays. Then we have to, do without you on Monday. Then on Tuesday,
I'm back again in action. Yeah,
yes,
and something.
But it was actually a busy weekend. I think you
very
did Kitchen
busy
Wars
week.
as
So
well.
Kitchen Wars, the grand launch was on Sunday as well, and I had GMB on Sunday as well. And the competition is on. Which secondary school did you go to though?
I don't think we are participating in Yilo Krobo Senior High.
Oh, Yilo Krobo Senior High. Yeah. I don't think I saw your name.
No,
you're not.
So.
This year.
We participate in NSMQ for the last 3-4 years. We've been participating in NSMQ.
What
I think
are you
at some
trying
point.
To say?
No, I'm just saying it's information. At some point, we'll decide to cook and decide who the winner is.
But
eventually.
are you able to cook anything at all?
Oh yes.
What's the best meal you can cook?
The best I can do ampesi
rice and eggs.
No, ampesi and kontomire.
Ampesi and kontomire.
Yeah, ampesi and kontomire. Yeah.
Okay. When can I taste that to verify?
Oh no, I mean it's always at your choosing. Just decide.
All right. Okay. I'll let you know. When I take the decision, I'll let the viewers know first, and then I'll let you know.
The last time you said this, the viewers were sending messages. You
they
guys
were
remember,
asking
right?
if I took you out for dinner.
Yes, you guys remember. They were sending me messages.
That was on Friday.
And at the time they were sending me the messages, me, I was in my bed quietly. I was waiting for. I had ironed and I had put my stuff there. I was waiting for a location to be sent, and guess what? It never came. And some of you, you track promises, so add this one too. But don't worry, me, I keep my promises. I guess she does too, but sometimes.
Akable, what are we discussing for the big issue today?
For the big issue, we'll touch on Galamsey. There's a very interesting statement that has been issued by the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference. They are raising questions about what they believe to be the president not seeming to appreciate the existential threat of illegal mining. So we'll do that as an update.
And the calls for the states,
of
the
emergency.
Declaration of the state of emergency.
Yes. So
okay, Ken Ashigbe has been speaking a lot about that.
Yeah.
I was listening to him yesterday, so we'll be taking a look at
Yes.
that. Would you have time for a second topic, though?
Yes, we will try to do that as well. There's a conversation around the Ghana Bar Association. The Attorney General has been speaking directly, questioning the neutrality of the Ghana Bar Association. So that is also another issue that we'll discuss. But what do we have for this morning's segment?
There's a lot of talk, actually, that because of the depreciation of the cedi in the last few days, fuel prices are going to be increased from this morning. And there's a lot of confusion on the streets already. Now, the report projects that petrol prices would be increased from 3.66% to about 5.86%, bringing the pump price to about 14.17 per liter, 14.17 per liter. Diesel is also expected to go up between 2.12% and 4.32%, potentially retailing it at the pumps at 14.67 Ghana cedis per liter. Now, liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, would also come to about 14 Ghana cedis per kilogram when you take your cylinders to go and fill them. And this morning, we just want to ask, what's today's date again? It's 16th of
yes.
September.
Yeah, so the second pricing window actually
begins this week, right? And we're just asking you what you make of the increment in petrol prices, fuel prices for that matter. Welcome to This Morning. All right, welcome back to This Morning, and our first caller is already on the telephone lines. Hello, good morning, Idris.
Yes, good morning, Cookie. How was your yesterday?
How was my yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday you wasn't in the studio with us.
Oh, okay. It was okay. Thank you so much for asking. I appreciate that. Where are you calling from, Idris?
I'm calling you from Upper West region. Wow.
Oh, okay. You are a reporter from WA. Idris,
yes.
Petrol prices are about to be increased. If you are reporting, what would you say?
Cookie, you know as it is normal for we Ghanaians, whether we like it or not, that there's going to be an increase on it. But Cookie, sorry, let me say good morning to the Upper West people in our local language. You're doing G24 language. And good morning to the NPP regional chairman Abdullah's wife. Cookie, what I can say is that actually, within the 6 or 7 months of this government, we really enjoy something better when it comes to fuel and electricity issues. We know that it is good for us. But currently, look at where they want to move us forward. Look at how they say they are going to increase the fuel, 14.5% or 14.7%. We are going back to the last 2024 that we all crying for. I think we are heading towards there again. My question is that we are calling for the economic team of the NDC, especially the finance minister and the president. They should come together. They should pick measures in places for us. We beg. Because in Ghana, if you take the train, Cookie, once they started like this, it is not going to be easy for us until elections here. If we put things in the pipeline and see, these are the reasons why they voted NPP out. And we are heading there towards again. We beg them. The day before yesterday, we know what the electricity people are telling now how they are going to increase.
Yeah.
200 and something percent.
Yeah.
Food is going to increase again. Diesel again. There is some gas will also come. It means people is going to suffer again. So we beg them. They should put things for us. We beg. They should do things up and doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you to Idris24 for calling us. You can also call us. Let's know what your thoughts are on fuel prices that are going up right from today, the 16th of September 2025. Joseph, you've got messages for us before we take more calls?
Not yet, but we can still urge our viewers to call into the show and share their views. Unfortunately, we decided as a nation to have the deregulated system where the government does not directly control the prices, save the items in the build-up, like the bust margin, and also we know that the levy that was introduced recently as well. And so those are things that a government can control directly, but generally, depreciation was always going to be a big problem. We have Reginald joining us from Sunyani. Good morning, Reginald. Megina, okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Cookie and my boss, I believe my boss Rulan is doing good.
Yes, he's fine.
Because I have heard from him a very long time. I don't know.
Oh, you see him very, very soon. Don't worry.
Okay. And I want to state that me, I don't believe Ghanaians. When the prices are reduced, the same fare that the drivers will collect. So why don't we increase it so that we know that there is an increment in the fuel prices? are you not in this country when prices of fuel products were reduced? But yet, we had to fight the drivers, we had to fight the operators, and when it's reduced, they tell us that the spare parts are not being reduced. They go to magazines. But when it increases, they will not tell us the spare parts have been reduced. Is it not cheating? So it is better for the government to increase it. I don't see the reason for government to be reducing the prices of fuel. Because when it is reduced at the pump, these commercial drivers or people who take us and take money from us, they don't respect us. A small distance, they charge you unfairly. And you want me to back you this time, government should increase it even 100%, so that all of us will be facing the difficulties. And they take the money. We are okay. What kind of cheating is that? Please, let me put this across. I want to find out from you. You do the research for me. I want to find out. In law, is it against the law for a chief to be arrested for causing anarchy in the state?
All right.
What was he asking?
I think I didn't get a full import of the question, but I think it was something about, is it possible for a chief to be arrested? Maybe he can send it as a message so that we understand fully. But I think an interesting point he makes has to do with the price of lorry fares, basically transport fares, about how anytime the fuel prices go up, the transport operators are in a hurry to increase the fares.
But when it's reduction,
yes,
they don't want to reduce it. Yeah.
Because they will say that spare parts, price of spare parts. I think
cost of maintenance and all of that.
I think it's a conversation that we've had a number of times.
Yeah,
and it still keeps happening, and it's something that we must deal with at some point.
Getting to some of your messages now, Sherry Giovanni has sent in a message. It's a little long, so let me take this caller from Tamale, and then Sherry Giovanni, I'll read your message. Hello, good morning. You're calling from Tamale, but what's your name, honey? Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
My name is Adam Manan.
Manan, talk to us.
Yes. Yes, the increase about the fuel. We the Northern, the way the fuels are going, we can't say we will get happy or we are in the sad mood. Because when the time for the farming season, the tractors and then those who are working on the farm, when you apply for the tractor to come and apply for you, the acre, they refuse to reduce the price. We are in farming 1 acre, 2 million. They
Manan,
produce about 1.5.
Manan, what are we talking about? Are we talking about farming or we are talking about fuel prices? I'm a little confused here.
Yes, the fuel increase. The time they reduce the fuel. The time they reduce the fuel. The data operator to reduce the price of the acre. They refuse to reduce it. Now when the prices are going up, we are all facing the same changes. And then the total driver, they refuse to reduce it. So that's the way the government tries to reduce the fuel. Those who are working the farm, they reduce the price. And then our mothers are going to market. The price for the tractor to reduce. They refuse. So now when the prices are going up, I don't know where they will increase or they will say something about it. Because the time the petrol and the diesel going down, they will not reduce it.
All right, Manan, thank you. Joseph, can you help me? I'm trying to deduce
what he meant. He was talking about the fuel prices, but he was making reference to a price when you buy a certain quantity of liters. So
no,
it was
he
still
said acres.
Okay,
he was talking about acreage and the farms, and no. He was talking about. He said acres. Manan, you've succeeded in confusing us this morning, but please, when you call, do make your submissions clear so that we can understand. And please stick to the topic that we are discussing. Anyway, let me go back and read Sherry Giovanni's message, and it says, good morning to the both of you. Some know that the sudden appreciation of the cedi was artificial, and now things are showing in that regard. It means that the NDC government deceived us when they introduced the 1 cedi levy, and we live to see. On the second hand, please, did my school, Bishop Herman College, register for kitchen wars? I don't remember Bishop Herman registering for this season. I don't think I remember, but I'll do a double check and let you know. Joseph, we have another call on the line.
Yes, Charles Amwa from Bekwai. Reminds me of the musician Charles Amwa. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, boss. I want to extend my greetings to the CEO of the Youth Employment Agency.
Okay.
With Malik Basington. Actually, on the fuel prices, I don't think we have to be doing politics with it, because in Ghana we use the automatic adjustment formula, of which we have key variables including the exchange rate. And so any changes when there is a depreciation of the cedi, actually we will have an increase in price of fuel, and there shouldn't be any news. So I don't think the government has a hold on this thing or something. Probably maybe the government would want to take off taxes and levies to reduce the price or something, or maybe the government would want to subsidize the buying of fuel for people or for Ghanaians. So I don't think it's necessary to do politics with it. Mahama Abojuma, and Dagana, Ghana, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Kinrak says, good morning, Cookie and Joseph Akable. There's no problem for fuel prices going up because as a developing country, we should expect that. This is even better at the time when we used to buy fuel at 18 Ghana cedis. But I assure you people that it will surely go, but due to the attitude of our commercial drivers, I am happy it goes up and do not expect them to increase transport fares. Thank you. All right. Kenwak, thank you for your message. More messages coming in. Joseph, do you have more messages? Otherwise...
yes, there's one from Prince Henry Koforidua. Okay. You say that, to be sincere, truck drivers have taken us for a ride. Those people won't reduce the price of transport fares when the price of fuel goes down, but will call for increase the moment the price goes up. I know the government is monitoring the situation and all will be fine. That's the message that he sends. Okay. He also adds another one. He says, don't allow Cookie to intimidate you. Oh, she's not going to intimidate me. And you say that Ikosek is a very good school. Yes, I agree. Fantastic school. And that is coming from Prince Henry.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much for that wonderful message of solidarity.
Why you?
I didn't send a message. It came from...
There's an explanation. Yes. I won't mind you and that person who sends the message. There's an explanation to what Manan was trying to say. And that's coming from Salim Abdul Mumin. He says that Manan was trying to relate the hike in fuel prices to the cost of plowing farmlands per acre. Okay. So now I understand. It affects the cost of paying for transport to convey their produce from the farm gates to the market. So that's what he was trying to say. It seemed a little confusing, but yes, thank you for that clarification. Salim Abdul Mumin, very, very thankful for that one. Another caller on the line, Abdul from Tamale. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, Abdul, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Talk to us.
About the fuel prices. Well, I'm appealing to the drivers not to increase the price because you see, with the transport union, I don't understand how they do their pricing. But once people reduce, it is very hard for them to reduce their prices. But once they hear that increment in fuel prices, they just ship it to us. So, I'm appealing and saying to them.
Okay.
But right now, the government needs assistance from everyone.
All right. Thank you so much for calling us. Akusum Prince says, when fuel prices increase, drivers increase fares the same day. But for the reduction, dear, they will tell us they've not heard from their union leaders. Black man and heaven, dear. Big gap, anyway. Joseph, you've got messages to read for us. I think I saw one from landlord from Bolga D-Line. But did you read the one from Prince Henry Koforidua?
Yes, I did.
Oh, so
yes,
was that the one you were qualifying as a wonderful message, or that wasn't that one?
Oh, he sent two messages. One was a solidarity message to my good self, and the other was a contribution to the fuel discussion.
Anyway, Alaji Bini has not been able to call, but he sent a message. He says that, good morning, my number one, and hey, Rade, my number one cookie tea. Let me send my greetings to Shemima Muslim and her husband, Alaji Alasan, and Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah. Cookie, if the petrol price... Okay, you let me just leave it here. You've extended your greetings, so it's okay. Mohammed is on the telephone lines from the northern region. Mo, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, Mo, how are you?
I'm good. Oh.
Okay, what's happening? What's happening? What do you want to talk about? The fuel prices?
Yes, I'm going to talk about the fuel price.
Let's hear you then.
Okay. Should I go on?
Yes, please. Yes, go on, Mohammed.
Okay. Please, sometimes we Ghanaians, we don't understand some issues. This is going to affect all of us in Ghana. So some people are talking about only transportation. It's not only these drivers that are using fuel. It's all the country. Some are owning cars and motorbikes. They are buying their own fuel. So when we are going to talk about only the transportation, it will affect us. So let's reason well and talk about some issues.
Okay.
This is affecting all Ghanaians, not only the transportation fee. So let's understand issues very well and stop politics. Because some people are talking about politics. So I'm begging them to stop politics and then let's address issues very well. This is affecting all the Ghanaians, not only transportation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you too for calling us. We do appreciate your time. More messages coming in. Joseph, do you have any?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Not
I don't
yet.
think we have any fresh messages as of yet, but you can also send them. We'll do our best to read as many as we can before we bite this morning. Okay, I don't have any.
I think there's
new
one
messages.
from Kutuka Courage.
Okay.
Just came in. He says, good morning, Sister Cookie T.
Hey.
Yeah.
Sister Cookie T.
Yeah. And Joseph, not Brother Joseph, just Joseph, yes. He said, we are pleading with the leadership of the NDC and Comrade Edwige Tamaklu to do everything within their power to prevent drivers from increasing their fare in response to the fuel increment. That is Kutuka Courage inside Anloga, Lashibi in the Volta region. All
right. Philip Abochi says, good morning to everyone. Seriously, let's take politics out of fuel pricing. I can tell you that during Nanado's administration, fuel was very high. And I think His Excellency John Mohammed's administration is far, far better than the previous administration. Keta drivers take us for granted. From Keta to Ho is very expensive than from Keta to Accra. I salute Honorable James Gunu, the Volta Regional Minister, and Honorable Wisdom Siade, MCE for Keta. Philip Abochi sent in that one. Damien, let's have a short conversation because Johnny is biting already. Damien?
Okay. Good morning.
Morning, Damien.
Please, I would like to raise some concern.
Please go ahead.
Drivers in Pokwa municipality, they have a habit of increasing transport fares without the approval from government or their institution. It's very bad. Last, when they asked for the reduction of 10%, they didn't do that.
Okay.
But the moment they hear that fuel prices are increasing, they quickly increase it.
And this is
So
Hohoi.
Increase the authorities to engage drivers in Hohoi.
Okay.
To behave appropriately. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Damien. You're our last caller for the morning. Let's switch over for Johnny's Bite.
Went on his knees and was standing with some tomato traders, and he appealed to the President of the Republic that he ought to come to their aid. Well, the President has answered, but let me give you a reminder. Play the video, please. So this is the President Mahama ordering a purchase of 1,000 boxes of tomatoes to feed SHS students following concerns by farmers that they had no buyers and off-takers for their tomatoes. Please play the video. And it's a success story. Yesterday, people were tagging us on Facebook that we spoke about a thing yesterday. No, the president said people should go and buy. And I said, oh, well, John is buy today. John is buy back. Listeners be brave, viewers be brave. That's what we do here. And yesterday, we spoke about it. The member of parliament reiterated the point that some weeks ago we've been reiterating, and we have been talking about this. I know for a fact that we cannot just put up a factory today, but in the final analysis, the factory ought to come. In the final analysis, the factory ought to come so that we all can benefit from it, because we need to start exporting and not importing. We need to start exporting and not importing. And let's bring you that video later. But the acting Chief Justice has been talking. Play the video then, if you have it.
Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Madam Roma Misra, because we go to Jim. Why you be brave, dear mammy? Why you be brave, dear Asantehemaa? And nay, the person who be Bima Asantehemaa, a course of Kaiwo, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, whom we mobile the MP for Asantehemaa for him Kwame Frimpong. Many may queer for you. I was for a higher Asantehemaa. Maybe a genesis here, Agogo. Na, you share in toast if a fair, I queer for Gina High. I harvest here. Next year, Asantehemaa of UBB. And Chebebre and our Greek minister, Honorable Rukupoku, on any deputy, Miaminia, Honorable John Dumelo, Eba Asantehemaa of Beshe, but on Meboy, Ampa, and so now, Honorable Rukupoku, Omumami, fertilizer, 1,000 bucks. I'm a bet you be a make for. Everyone told some there, but that case you in now 500 Ghana cedis, 5 million. And so almost struggle so moving out to form of matter. And in team, if I can see so now, my boy, at 4 our move Kumasen and Kran say move from when in Asantehemaa of Agogo. In those FA, at that kind now 500 Ghana cedis. As a member of parliament, say we are 4 years a Juma way in Nana say a difficult. Say or move to me at 4 bet me at me that into me now and into Mr. Mumra Mayem, one Asantehemaa of Equiafor so or Mumfam on Tuma Pefra or more bomb whom they had Juma Fe and Trail my so I didn't want to say you been your Juma Mabuna ye in Tikawe by at 4 I want a day on winter me to Nanka ye way Nanaka buy a factory. I'm a Mabunu, Domain Mabunu, Agogo Mabunu, Asantehemaa from Mabunu and Juma ye. Send a bay I bet me a Danny way into tomato puree. Ama Yatimia export at the Yatimia to be Organa, I'm a Criaphone and your music contentem. To me, fuck when I can see so. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Madam Roma Misra, because we go to Jim. Why you be brave, dear mammy? Why you be brave, dear Asantehemaa? And nay, the person will be Bima Asantehemaa, a course of Kaiwo, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, whom we mobile the MP for Asantehemaa for him Kwame Frimpong. Many may queer for you, near fuck when I can see so. Near to me, a tomato factory. I was Asantehemaa. Your Excellency becoming go to Jenny Esro.
And to us in that kind of 5 million. Yes, you're saying out of one so, Madam Roma,
Excellency John Dramani.
So the 5 million they're talking about is not the 5 million that you know. It's 500 Ghana cedis that they are talking about. And if you look at the quantity and the volume of tomatoes that are available, and you look at how the government has decided that it will be its own priority to please bring back that image of the president directing that secondary schools across the country should be giving these tomatoes so that they can feed properly. And it's good. It's good. It's good. Now, our learned acting Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafoboni, has been speaking. The bar conference is ongoing, and those who are supposed to be there are there. But he's been speaking. What did he say? Please put up the item for me. The acting Chief Justice has been speaking. And I hope that what he is saying now will not be a conversation around, oh, as for this Chief Justice is talking too much, so let's find a way to push him out. Or as for this Chief Justice, no. We need to, as a country, accept the truth. We need to, as a country, accept the reality. We need to, as a people, accept what is real and bow to it and deal with it and answer to it at the same time. Because if we do not, as a people, we will be in trouble. We will be in trouble, I'm telling you. If we are not there as a people and we don't accept reality as a people, we will be in deep, deep, deep trouble. I'm telling you. And it cuts across many facets of our national life. Many facets of our national life. In chieftaincy, people hate the truth. So when you talk about it, they say, hey, you are over-talking, you are trying to influence the chiefs and the traditional leaders. In politics, they say, hey, when did you come? When did you join the fray? You talk about any and everything, education, even in religion. Even in religion, which is supposed to be sacrosanct. You get those flags thrown at you. So the learned Chief Justice has spoken. The system is quite tricky this morning, but we will get it done. We'll get that work done in a bit, and we will get the conversation. Yes, so please put the GBA president first, and then we can go to the learned Chief Justice, please.
The Constitution of the Ghana Bar Association enjoins us to protect the independence of the judiciary. This is a duty the association does not take lightly, and from time immemorial, the bar has fiercely performed this duty. My learned friends, we are all aware that Article 146 of our 1992 Constitution has come under severe scrutiny in recent times. For the first time under the Fourth Republic, it's being evoked in respect of a Chief Justice. The position of the bar must be stated clearly in this regard. The bar recognizes the fact that the power of removal can be exercised under Article 146. But the bar's major concern relates to the process. In the absence of specific rules of procedure, the sketchy process potentially lends itself to arbitrariness and a lack of fairness. Hence the bar's resolution on the matter, which was as follows. The Ghana Bar Association hereby also calls for the immediate enactment of clear and comprehensive regulations relating to matters under Article 146 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness in all proceedings involving Superior Court justice, particularly in the context of the impeachment or removal of such officers. This resolution was passed and publicized by 30th April 2025. However, no rules were produced. It is commonly said that justice should not only be done, but manifestly be seen to have been done. The lack of an enactment for such rules in the case of the removal of the fourth highest person in the nation should be a matter of concern for all of us. These rules should have been known to all and sundry before the commencement of the process, as it greatly affects the standard to be met. It ends up being an unfortunate precedent which lacks fairness, a situation that calls for redress, if indeed we are custodians of justice.
That was the GBA president at the bar conference, all the way up north. And there's another video from the GBA. If we have the learned Chief Justice, let's look at what the learned Chief Justice said, and then we'll go to the Attorney General. The learned Chief Justice, please. And he spoke, and he says, how did we get here as a nation to allow a few selfish and greedy individuals connected to power and influence in society hold the entire nation and its future to ransom for their benefit. I take it again. How did we get here as a nation to allow a few selfish and greedy individuals connected to power and influence in society hold the entire nation and its future to ransom for their benefit? His Lordship, Justice Paul Bafoboni, Acting Chief Justice, and he spoke the truth. We are where we are as a nation because a few greedy people decided that we will enrich ourselves and our cronies and our assigns and our agents so that the national cake will not be distributed evenly. We are where we are because a few greedy and selfish people decided that we are the only ones who deserve the best. We are where we are because a few greedy people think that others can serve to make their food ready, but when it is time to eat, it is only a few who get the chance to eat the food. So the learned Chief Justice or Acting Chief Justice spoke no lie. He said, how did we get here as a nation to allow a few selfish and greedy individuals connected to power and influence in society to hold the entire nation and its future to ransom for their benefit? He's not talking about just now. He's talking about what will happen in the future. And sometimes when you listen to some of the narratives, the monies that have been embezzled, you listen to the pilfering, you listen to the stolen stuff, and you ask yourself, like they say in Gang, one person can rob the whole nation of billions of cedis. And then when they catch them, they say, oh, we are doing plea bargain. We are doing plea bargain. The streets don't want the plea bargain. The streets want the cash. And they want the people jailed or caged. They're not looking for plea bargain. Let's listen to the learned Attorney General.
Our role in politics must be guided by principle, not partisanship. When lawyers descend into the arena of raw politics without restraint, we risk undermining the very foundation of our professional credibility. We must remember that our allegiance is first and foremost to the Constitution and this Republic, not to transient political interests. Over 3 decades have passed since the adoption of our Constitution. During this period, our Republic has tested and continues to test the resilience of its democratic institutions. In doing this, the bar has played a crucial role in assisting the Supreme Court to interpret and enforce the Constitution. But outside the courtroom, the advocacy of the bar as a professional group has lacked consistency, bringing into question its adherence to principle. Ladies and gentlemen, when in 2015, an Article 146 petition was received by the Chief Justice in relation to the former chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Madam Loretta Lamke, the bar failed to speak out about process. In the run-up to the 2016 elections, the then opposition New Patriotic Party engaged the Electoral Commission in court battles over the voter identification system. This gave rise to the Abu Ramadan line of cases. Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Arabatokono. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed? The three petitions aforementioned touch and concern office holders of three constitutional bodies critical to the sustenance of our democracy. The independence of the three institutions has been guaranteed by the Constitution. The three occupants were all women of significant repute and members of our noble profession.
3 FM, the best in the morning.
The three committees established pursuant to Article 146 complied with the constitutional procedure to the letter. And yet, the bar found its voice only in relation to the third petition. Coincidentally, the voice of the bar amplified the voice of the opposition. The lawyer in politics must be a voice of reason, moderation, and constitutionalism. The bar must speak out not to please governments or opposition parties, but to defend the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the rights of the ordinary citizen. The Ghana Bar Association is not merely a professional body. It is a moral compass of the legal fraternity and a key pillar in the construction of our constitutional democracy. As Lord Denning once wrote, and I quote, "Justice must be rooted in confidence, and confidence is destroyed when right-minded people go away thinking that the judge was biased." The same applies to the bar. Our authority as a profession depends on public confidence that we stand above the fray of narrow partisanship. Let us therefore be the conscience of the Republic, fearless when governments overreach, impartial when opposition agitates, and always faithful to the sovereignty of the people under the Constitution. And talking of sovereignty,
Sunrise on
we should
3
desist
FM, the best in the morning.
the temptation of inviting foreign interference in our internal constitutional processes. As a professional body, there is absolutely nothing wrong with forming relationships with like-minded foreign associations. Such relationships are necessary for cross-fertilization of ideas on professional matters such as standards. That is where it should end. Interference in constitutional politics risks violating the principle that sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose benefit the powers of government are to be exercised. My distinguished colleagues, the task before us is clear.
And the learned Attorney General spoke my mind. I think that the public perception about the Ghana Bar Association is that they find their voices when a certain government is in power. And when another is in power, they lose their voices. The public perception about the Ghana Bar Association is that they lose their voices when a certain government is in power, and they find their voices, and loudly so, when another regime is in power. The Ghana Bar Association has been invited to do some self-introspection and some circumspection and some retrospection to be able to arrive at the point where people will not have that perception about them. Here ends my sermon. Please call me 055-924-2717 and 055-691
Thank you for staying with us here on TV3. It's time for the big issue, and there's there are too many issues that we want to discuss this morning. Yesterday, the bar conference took off, and we heard from the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, who is also a member of the Ghana Bar Association, speak to the bar directly at their own program, raising issues of serious concern, issues that, for those of you who have monitored the relationship that the governing National Democratic Congress has had with the bar over the last couple of years. I can look at as far back as, say, 8 years at least. We know that it has been quite one of concern over the period where the party has strongly expressed concerns about the conduct of the Ghana Bar Association. And the AG took the matter directly, questioning, in simple terms, the neutrality of the Ghana Bar Association. That's an issue that we'll look at. We'll also look at the issue of Galamsey. It's a conversation that we've been having for a while now. And this morning, there's a statement that I came across from the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, raising some issues about how they believe government is dealing with the issue of Galamsey. In simple terms, they are not particularly impressed with how things are being handled. And so those are two matters that we are going to deal with this morning as part of our discussion segment, just to understand what is happening. And the big question remains, what are we doing to deal with the issue? Joining me in the studio for the discussion this morning, Dr. Ramsey Inusa is Director, Political Research Movement for Change. Doc, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Also in the studio is a man who was trending on TikTok and all the other social media handles. Hamza Suhini, member National Democratic Congress Communication Team, also a legal practitioner. Do you want to explain why you were trending?
Kabli, good morning to you, and of course, good morning to
Hamza was trending.
My brother.
Why were you trending?
I think it basically had to do with an understanding of a political party you communicate for, and the reverence of the legacy of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, and our ability to uphold those principles. And I think for me, that was the basis of the trend. It was about principle. It was about understanding what the National Democratic Congress stands for. It was also about understanding what the legacy of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama would mean, not just for the Republic of Ghana, but most importantly for many of us who are coming from the northern part of this country. And so our commitment to defending that legacy and upholding the principles of the National Democratic Congress requires that at all times we try as much as possible to go beyond the normal politics of emotions and concentrate on principle, so that even long after His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is gone as President of the Republic of Ghana, we would still have the moral authority to be able to reference his legacies as President of the Republic of Ghana and be proud of it, and based on which many of us would be able to also rise to the top because of that record. We see what they are doing to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, his own political party, questioning his ability to bring his people on board, his Muslim brothers and Northern brothers on board. It is important, as a member of the National Democratic Congress, I ensure that as sitting president, it doesn't befall His Excellency President Mahama. And even as former president, I should still be able to sit around this table and be a champion of his legacy and speak to it without any fear or favor. And knowing him, and that is why I've always said that, look, if you understand the man John Dramani Mahama, communicating would not be difficult for you. I have followed his politics as Member of Parliament, as Minister for Communications, Vice President and President. We all know what he stands for. He is not the everyday politician we see on our screens who speak simply to excite party base. He has demonstrated it throughout his political life, and it was not by accident that he even had leading members of the New Patriotic Party at the time he was nominated to be President Mills' running mate, commending him for his brand of politics. And so if you are speaking for his government, you must know these attributes and try as much as possible to reflect in your communication.
As a young politician, that could come with repercussions sometimes. I mean, especially the unfortunate political system that we operate.
And that is why I'm telling you that for me it is quite easier because I know the man I'm speaking about. Irrespective of whatever anybody says, I am really not moved about it. Even he himself, in the past, I've had cause or been branded, or he was branded in the past of being a moderate and always taking the middle grounds, largely because of his convictions. You understand? It is about the future of this country. And so anybody, as far as what I do excites and falls in line with the dreams and visions of His Excellency President Mahama, that is my #1 priority. And most importantly, the dictates of the National Democratic Congress. And I think that even you would be excited if our politics, we conduct it in ways that we can all be proud of. And for me, that is what drives it, and that is what makes the National Democratic Congress different from the NPP. I'm sure that in the NPP and the NANADO, many people had concerns, but they were afraid to express these views. But for us in the National Democratic Congress, Akabli, I can assure you that the response was quite amazing. Many of our colleagues were excited about that position, and I'm pretty much convinced going forward, you'll see many more of my colleagues coming out to speak for principle and defend the very election that we won in 2024.
All right. We'll see how that plays out. And for those of you who have not seen that video, I mean, it's a video that Hamza basically criticizes the circuit court's ruling in the Abronye bill particular matter. Doc, you have seen that ruling as well?
That's right. And let me say a very good morning to my brother Hamza and your good self and the good people of Ghana. Indeed, I saw the ruling and I asked myself, is this the Ghana I know? Because I quite remember a famous case under the SO administration where we all went. I was even part of those who demonstrated against the illegal, or I'll say unconstitutional remand of innocent protesters, the likes of Oliver Barker-Vormawor, Niayi and the rest, right? And we've seen time and time that the court system is being used to some form of punish people in the form of not granting them bail. And I believe that if you look at the dictates of our constitution, it is unwarranted, it's unconstitutional. And I'm sure lawyer Martin Pegbu and lawyer Sosu, the MP for Medina, have been no advocates on this issues of human rights abuse by our courts. And we know that some of these things are led by some political motives and indeed some selfish motives of some of the judges, because someone wants to get promoted, someone wants to get somewhere, someone has been promised a good position, and so he has to do that to support or to satisfy a political master. But we believe that yes, Abronye's utterances was foul. We should not condone that in our body politics, but it doesn't mean that his rights should be tempered with. And for the judge ruling, for him to even quote George Orwell, I believe that it is quite unfortunate. And even quote the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, and in his ruling I read, it says that that freedom can be, let me read, I can assure you of freedom of speech, but I cannot assure you of freedom after speech. I mean, for you to put that in a judgment, what are you trying to tell the people of Ghana? And
I mean, it's a quote that actually, I think was by Idi Amin, but he actually quotes...
exactly. But my point is that why would you quote such in a judgment?
I mean,
when we're talking about issues of human rights and issues of constitutionalism. So I believe that this judge ought to sit up well. I know he's going on retirement very soon, as I'm quietly hearing. And I hope that he retires well, and I'm sure that he will regret this this action.
Well, that's it for by way of preliminary remarks. I want us to touch on the issue of Galamsey as an update to what we've been doing over the period. And I made reference to the statement from the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference. And there's a part of the statement that raises very serious concerns. And in fact, I'm reading that part of it now. It says that where still Galamsey has matured into a threat to national security. It enriches criminal cartels breeds lawlessness and foments violent conflicts in mining communities. Yet, in the face of this, the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, appears not to grasp the existential scale of the menace. In both January and May 2025, delegations of our conference raised these concerns directly with him, only to be met with the unsatisfactory responses focused narrowly on economic gain. At his Meet the Press session of 10th September 2025, he dismissed calls for a state of emergency. This is profoundly troubling. The hour is late. Delay is betrayal. Now, not tomorrow, not later, is the time to act. And they say that they want the president to declare without hesitation a state of emergency in the most affected mining zones and around endangered water bodies. Such a declaration would empower extraordinary interventions, curfews in volatile areas, securing devastated lands, the dismantling of entrenched criminal syndicates, and the halting of corrupt administrative complicities. The scale of the crisis justifies nothing less. And this position is not too different, maybe a bit more colorful in the language that is used to refer to the situation. But we know that the Coalition Against Illegal Mining basically addressed the news conference where the convener, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, raised very similar concerns, generally about the urgency that they expect to see happen. Let me welcome into the conversation Awula Asewa with Eco-Conscious Movement, one of the groups that have been vocal about issues surrounding the environment, the importance of protecting the environment, among other things. Awula, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
To your listeners, and good morning to my brothers in the studio.
I mean, the way and manner the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference described the state of affairs. I mean, from where you sit, and particularly because of the recent commentary that we've heard from government officials, is it fair for one to conclude that we don't seem to have made progress since December? And I make reference to the President's point about how the nation has successfully regained control of forests that hitherto were, operating grounds for galamseyers. I mean, can we confidently say that we haven't made progress since December at least?
The all we can say is that the situation is dire. In the run-up to the elections, we had NDC stalwarts from Honorable Ablakwa to Sam George to, what's his name, the one in charge of Gold Board. All of them came out to say declare a state of emergency because they were responsible enough to appreciate the dire situation we find ourselves in. And you see, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, they are not just anybody. They are people who are sober in thought, and they don't just get up and make statements. And if you say you've made progress, let me just read a post from our brother Erastus Asaredonko. We talk about taking forest reserves which were red. And Erastus, who has put his life on the line, he's receiving death threats, and he puts Ghana before party affiliation. My party is Ghana, so I can speak regardless of who is in power. He says these forest reserves have been retaken at Rimap in Puna district in the Ashanti region, Ofin Shelter Belt, and we have Futu section. Armed illegal miners have been there for more than 2 weeks with excavators, led by one, I'm reading what he said, led by one Ishmael. Ofin Shelter Belt, Aprenku section, Tano Ofin Forest Reserve, Chirichiri section, armed illegal miners led by one Emmanuel have taken over for days now. Jimira extension, armed men have invaded. These are the areas that the IGP's men cleared of illegal mining recently and kept it clean until they were withdrawn. Now what we are saying is that we face an existential threat. The past president acknowledged it, and that's when he said he was putting his presidency on the line. And unfortunately, things went from bad to worse. This current administration were voted for because Ghanaians were tired of the perceived inaction of the previous regime. Ghanaians voted against the previous regime and voted overwhelmingly for His Excellency President Mahama because they believed he would take robust, decisive action against the canker. Let's remember, the environment is on loan to us. If our ancestors had been as wicked as we are, we wouldn't have any environment to speak on. It's on loan to us and future generations. We are mortgaging the future of the youth by supervising the decimation of our forest reserves, supervising the poisoning of our forest, of our water bodies. Over 60% have been poisoned. What are we waiting for? When 100% has been poisoned. So it's, and even the, what shall I say, the Akonfo Anoche Hospital has told us the number of kidney disease cases has gone up 4 times. What on earth are we waiting for to act decisively? Ghana Water is spending a lot of money on chemicals to treat the water. What is the effect of these chemicals on what is the effect of these chemicals on us? We need the Ghana Medical Council to come out and tell us. So you see, this is not a simple situation. The president himself acknowledged that we face a national emergency. So the question is, if we all realize that we face a national emergency, what on earth are we waiting for to act decisively? Are we waiting for 100% of the water bodies to be poisoned? Are we waiting for all our forest reserves to be decimated? And we also have national security threats. Each day we delay, each day these environmental terrorists are getting stronger and stronger. We don't want parts of our forests to become no-go areas, as is in the case of some Latin American countries where the drug cartels are. And let me end by saying that we seem to be more concerned about the livelihood of the environmental terrorists. Peasant farmers are having their farms destroyed. What are we going to eat soon? Even the food we eat has been contaminated. The food chain has been compromised. So we face an existential threat and we should have acted yesterday.
I mean, just for clarity, as far as you are concerned, a declaration of a state of emergency will signal that the government wants to end the menace, correct?
That is what it will signal, but it's the steps that are to be taken that is more important. You can declare a state of emergency and sit down and do nothing, but it's the steps that we expect to be taken under the extra powers you have, under the extra resources that you can muster with a state of emergency. If you can do that without declaring a state of emergency, why haven't we done so? Are we waiting for every Ghanaian to be dropping dead?
I mean, the president says that is what is being done. He says we've not exhausted the powers available to us. And I mean,
why don't you exhaust them? 4 times the number of kidney disease, deformed babies are being born, maternal deaths, national security problems. The water we drink, even when it's clear, it's not safe. Ghana water does not remove the heavy metals and toxins. Cyanide, mercury, whatever, they don't have any color. So you could be drinking clear water and it could be severely compromised. So what on earth are we waiting for is a question. And those who are asking for a targeted state of emergency, not over the whole of Ghana, targeted, the forest reserves, the farmlands, the water bodies, where there are settlements, targeted. They are not just saying it because it sounds nice. They are saying it because they care about this present generation and generations to come.
All right. Awolasewa, we'll leave it here for now this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Awolasewa is a coordinator for eco-conscious citizens, joining us with her views this morning. And let me come to Doc first in the studio. But we've also been joined in the studio by Christian Mam Hesse, also a legal practitioner, a regular contributor on our various platforms. Council, thank you for joining us. Yeah, let me start with you, Doc. And Doc, I mean, in all fairness, the government is just 8 months in office, and the president has indicated what a roadmap looks like. I mean, I think the point we can all agree on is that this is not something that can be dealt with within a short period. It has to be a long fight. Are we not making a meal out of what this mountain of state of emergency that we want declared at all costs?
Well, Joseph, let us look at the statistics currently. I hear, and it's on record, that over 1.1 million Ghanaians are into Galamsey. Right. Galamsey supports a livelihood of 4.5 million Ghanaians. So technically, you're dealing with an environment that deals with about 5.6 million of our people. And indeed, you cannot fight that within 8 months. You can't fight that within 4 years. You can't fight that within 10 years. But there are fundamental issues. Why? A young person who grows up in these resource-rich regions would want to indulge in galamsey. And there's a lack of unemployment. That is a fundamental issue. And we haven't seen a lot of transformative policies as far as our rural enterprise programs is concerned. Right? If you look at the likes of China, how China was able to alleviate over 900 million people out of poverty was because they tackled a serious reform and an industrial drive within their rural space. We are not seeing that. We are seeing a huge rural to urban migration. And at a point in time, I think in the previous government, they set up a platform for KIAs to have training here. How insulting is that? And built some infrastructure, hostels to house KIAs. As if, okay, come from Wale Wale, come from Bole, come from Tamale, and come and stay in hostels and continue being KIAs, and we will train you. I mean, that is not the way to solve the thing. And this is a cosmetic way of dealing with the issue. I believe that, indeed, there is a need for a state of emergency. Reasons why I'm saying that is because 60% of Ghana's water body is polluted. In the next 5 years, from now to 2030, if we are not able to bring a halt to the anthropogenic activities of illegal miners, Joseph, we would have to import water. And that is a call for all Ghanaians. The fight against galamsey is not an MPP, NDC, a movement for change fight. It is a Ghana fight. And that is why we need to depoliticize this fight. And I'm sure that the issues of a state of emergency has been ridiculed with some form of politics. And it's in the political arena. But indeed, the scientists will tell you that there is a need for such. But listening to the president, he has said that he hasn't really used all the powers of the state at his disposal yet. But I ask, galamsey has been anachronistic since Adam in our country. The reason why we have the water bodies and our land degraded in this manner is because we have introduced some form of heavy machines and equipment, the shamfan, the excavators, and some foreigners who are also heavily investing in these illegal activities. And we believe that, Joseph, if we are able to, first and foremost, I want to commend the NDC's agenda for trying to track down excavators. That is a very good step in mitigating the issues, because you want to know where these excavators are going to, what they are going to be used for, and who owns them. That is a good thing. I hope that the Ministry of Transport, right, will not abuse this regulation that has been set, and then some people within the Ministry of Transport will use it as an avenue to siphon monies from people and then allow excavators to go through. We saw the anti-galamsey task force under the previous government. We saw how corrupt it was and how people were paying to release excavators. Joseph? So we believe that, Joseph, first and foremost, our position as members of Movement for Change is that there should be a halt on small-scale mining and even illegal mining. There should be a halt for a period of 1 year. We should review all the licenses given to small-scale miners and ensure and check and audit whether indeed their activities are according to the Minerals and Mining Act. LI 2462 should be a non-starter. And I'm glad that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who was one of the proponents proposing to amend this LI, is now backtracking and is seeking to revoke it. I think that LI 2462, revoking it alone, would not solve the menace, especially in our forest reserve areas. Let us tackle the foundation, the Minerals and Mining Act 703. That is where the issue is. Because in our Minerals and Mining Act, there is no clause in that act that says that mining in our forest reserves or close to our water bodies is prohibited. And that anybody can get a mineral mining license and mine anywhere, so far as you're able to show that there's gold here.
But once you've not been given the license, it follows through that you can't go there.
But my point is that whether legal or illegal, we need to enshrine it there, because the provisions are quite unclear Okay. And so if we revoke LI 2462 alone, it is not enough. But we should ensure that in the Minerals and Mining Act 703, it is also stipulated that there should be no mining activities in our forest reserves, especially globally significant biodiversity areas and also our water bodies.
Okay. Let me come to Mr. Mamese before I come to Hamza. And I mean, Article 31 deals with emergency powers. If you go to the clause 9, it talks about the circumstance under which a state of emergency may be declared. And it says that under this article include a natural disaster and any situation in which any action is taken or is immediately threatened to be taken by any persons or group of body of persons which A, is calculated or likely to deprive the community of the essentials of life or renders the necessary taking of measures which are required for securing the public safety, the defense of Ghana, and the maintenance of public order and supplies and services essential to the life of the community. Those are the circumstances. I mean, these circumstances, if we even decide to declare it, we will still have, if you say that state of emergency, so you can't go to some areas, we will still have to have our security agencies go over to make sure that those who go there are apprehended.
Yes, that's so. I mean, Article 31, it deals with the definition of what state of emergency should be like and the parameters within which the president is vested to declare so. And with advice from the Council of State and also going to Parliament to get that vesting powers as it may be, so that the administration of that would be. I am of the belief that when that is declared, definitely, just as my brother said, there should be seeded areas where these state of emergencies would be declared, to the effect that we look at how enforcement of the state of emergency would be, where that's where the security agencies would come in. So it will not just be merely a gazette which would seed its roots in Article 31, but it would be very enforceable on the grounds so that we get the necessary outcomes. And I mean, just as my co-panelists had said, the problem is so endemic, is so rooted, it's spreads across socio-political and economic factors, and that is how come we have seen the extent of degradation. Now, just as he also said, I mean, this illegal mining has been with us since Adam, and it is not just in Ghana, but in all mining areas around the world. But the sophistication of machines has caused the degradation to eat the soil or to cause the canker to move at a faster rate. And that is what we are witnessing. Yes, I mean, just about 2 months ago, the whole of Spintex did not have water. And Ghana Water wrote to us officially to say, to tell us the extent of the problem. And it all stems from the illegal galamsey. Waters at Spintex only returned just about 2 days ago, midnight. This tells us that the country is headed to a door of no return. If we can run it by metaphor or a simile with the door of no return at the Cape Coast Castle, it would take only the intervention of the government, the executive arm. I mean, definitely with executive going to the legislative body to have Article 31 materialized. Also, I mean, there has been a lot of proponents in terms of literature, whether from the medical aspect, whether from social scientists, everything put out there to the executive to see consciousness with this. Now, from the CSOs and all of that, previous government, current government says I'm just 8 months, but just as he said, this matter transcends governments. This matter is about the life of the ordinary Ghanaian. I mean, definitely, even if it's not the ordinary Ghanaian, no matter how sophisticated you are on the ladder of life or the station of life, you get the essentials of life from the rudimetrics of society. The food basket, our food basket has been estimated to be so affected by this, the water body 60% and all of that. We have increase in deformities, childbirth and all of that. And is this the way to go? We have cancers of various forms, whether kidney, liver, and other forms. Is this the way to go? And under the Constitution, the president is enjoined to give us the health status of the country under Article 35. Now, is the president being briefed about the contribution of, as in the connection between galamsey, cyanide, all of these things getting into water bodies, how people get various cancers? The link, definitely, by literature is there. So that when president stands in front of parliament to brief parliament, the productivity of a country depends on its health status. Now, if you further branch into law, then we have what we call the recognition of the rule, which Professor Hart indicates that the recognition of the rule is the primary rule or primary law, such that if in the legal system we find that the citizens or the masses are of the habit, and which habit is a pattern that they flout the rules, then we say that the legal system has become chaotic and that there is no legal system at all. Is that the part that Ghana is headed to as far as mining and mining laws and activities and socio-political and economic activities are concerned? I believe this is not the Ghana we inherited. And the emergency laws must be reviewed and a decision must be taken timeously. There is no time to waste on this.
Let me bring in Hamza now. And Hamza, I mean, there's a certain pattern that we see developing, and we saw it with the previous administration. Galamsey is not one issue that the government would want to fight with the citizens to an extent of, especially when there are specific demands that some of the groups want addressed. I mean, we saw how the issue surrounding the law that allowed mining in forest reserve was handled. The government wanted to amend. The groups complained for a long period. Following the helicopter incident, the president now said, the minister now said, okay, let's take the law off completely. I mean, there are those who are saying that the general consensus is the performance of the president is pointing in the right direction. This is not a fight that he wants to pick. Why not just grant the request, bring all the groups on board, and just at least the semblance of heading in the same direction will help matters at this point?
Yeah, Akable, you see, good morning to my brother who just joined us, senior counsel. But you see, Akable, as for the issue of Galamsey, I think that I have followed the discourse in the media for some time now. And as a member of the National Democratic Congress and someone who has absolute confidence in this government, I am of the view that indeed His Excellency the President and the entire government machinery is doing whatever it takes to confront the menace. Fortunately, I am a practitioner in the field, especially when it comes to climate sustainability and many other issues related to the legality of that particular industry. I've had an opportunity of working in that space, even in the United Kingdom briefly, before coming to Ghana. So I think that when I see a sustainability approach to confronting the menace of issues of environmental protection, I can tell. And for me, the agenda or the steps being taken by this government appears to be ticking all the boxes as far as our international standards are concerned when it comes to issues of environmental sustainability. And that is what gives me hope. But then again, I can equally appreciate the legitimate demands and frustrations of civil society. And we will not behave like the previous regime by condemning the legitimate concerns of many of these civil society organizations. Indeed, UTAC, no matter how discomforting that might appear now, has not changed their position from when the New Patriotic Party was in power. No matter how discomforting it is to listen to Madam Oula, who I got the name right. Aula Sewa. She has also been consistent in terms of her demands that indeed there's the need for us to up our game. It didn't start under His Excellency President Mahama. Same with the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference. Consistency. And that gives me some measure of comfort and hope that indeed we are getting to a stage in this country where, if need be, we would put off or aside our partisan hats and do the needful to protect the country. But you see, in the debate, there's one critical point that we are missing. It is true that in the previous regime, many were calling for a declaration of state of emergency. But Ghanaians did not just wake up one fine morning and call for the declaration of the state of emergency. Ghanaians had given the previous regime ample time to fight the menace. And indeed, the media supported the previous regime in that fight. But that opportunity was mismanaged. We are talking about a regime that proposed the likes of Operation Galamstop, Operation Vanguard, Interministerial Task Force Against Illegal Mining, all kinds of beautiful slogans. And Ghanaians had the patience to await the successes of these particular initiatives, only to wake up and were told that indeed those who were actually tasked in implementing, with the responsibility of implementing many of these measures were actually those caught on live camera, receiving bribes to pave way for illegal miners to continue. So this is the kind of situation that Ghanaians found themselves. And as if that was not enough, there were evidence. We had evidence, by no means a person, but the minister responsible for environment, science, and technology, that indeed there were certain leading members of the New Patriotic Party who were engaged in illegal mining and were actually supporting the processes. We're still dealing with that revelation. Only for the National Women's Organizer to also told us that they were not going to do anything about it because the party needed money. And there was, look, we had many examples of government appointees, including the mayor of Kumasi, Samuel Pine, those days actively engaged in mining our forest reserves. So Ghanaians, after 7 years of giving the government confidence to see what it will bear in that fight, realized that indeed...
I get you to suggest that more or less it was the climax of their demands. That,
exactly. So it got to a point that, Akable, if you are a bit patient with me, it got to a point that, thank you, sir. It got to a point that the Ghanaian people realized that the whole government was complicit and that the only way for us to reset the fight against it was simply to declare a state of emergency. Because they had lost confidence in the regime. Now, the regime failed to declare that state of emergency. And indeed, certain leading members of the National Democratic Congress, not His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, not even the NDC manifesto has it, that indeed will declare a state of emergency if elected into power. There were certain leading members of the NDC who associated with that call. I do not run away from that. Because at that point, I also felt strongly that indeed government needed to declare that state of emergency. But today, a new government is in place. And from the word go, His Excellency President Mahama has demonstrated that commitment to the fight against illegal mining. As I speak with you, like my brother doctor indicated, one of the monumental destructions being caused to the environment is as a result of the issue of excavators and the east importation into that field. We thought that one sustainable way of approaching it is not just to wait until those excavators go to the field and you go and seize them and pretend to be burning them, or at the end of the day, auction them to your party foot soldiers. No. Let us start a system of licensing them specially and also tracking them so that we can know those that are being used in that particular process. That is progressive. That is sustainable way of dealing with the Galamsey menace. Government also started what we call a stakeholder approach in terms of trying to engage the communities, their chiefs, so that they can understand that this fight is not for government alone. And I'm glad to announce that even just yesterday, the Domahini, in line with that stakeholder consultation, decided to lead his people to go to the forest. And they were able to make some arrests on behalf of the state. So that is the birth, that is the successes that we are beginning to choke. As a result of our interventions, even with the Blue Water Guards, Akable, you would agree with me that we have been able to discover communities, full-blown communities in this country that were engaged in illegal mining and that for 8 years, the previous regime couldn't discover. If you go to Erasmus World, the same gentleman my sister referenced, he has given that tacit seat of endorsement and approval to the activities of the Blue Water Guards. brigades and the kind of successes we are beginning to choke. It is on his word 3 days ago about the communities that they have exposed. Now we are dealing with a government that is in constant consultation with the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, acting Chief Justice, about the possibility of establishing specialized courts to deal with crimes associated with galamsey. Another progressive and sustainable approach. We have launched the RCOMs there, intended to ensure that we change minds as far as illegal mining and small-scale mining activities are concerned, and be able to reclaim many of these lands using the District Assembly's District Assembly's concept system. So this is a government that has come on board with many interventions. I think that it is only fair for us to assess the impact of these interventions after a year.
Okay.
And we have started reporting successes in terms of our ability to retrieve about 9 forests that hitherto were under siege by these illegal miners. That is progressive. So I am yet to see literature or data that suggests that illegal mining has become worse in this country in 8 months upon assumption of office. I don't think that assertion is accurate.
We don't have that, but what we have is the Ghana Water Company. Their reports are the same as they were.
Yes, so but that is, you see, Akable, to be fair to them, you cannot use 8 months to turn the tide, especially when it comes to
but you remember the previous administration when they initially did a total ban. We all saw improvements within a short period of time.
So, but that is where I'm getting to. That's where I'm getting to. You see, I am not against any ban, but I'm telling you that seated where I am seated and knowing the government that we represent on platforms of this nature, I can assure you that if after a year or two, we take stock of our interventions and we are convinced that the only way out at this stage is a declaration of state of emergency, be rest assured that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama will not shy away from that responsibility. And so it is erroneous to create the impression as though he is unwilling to declare a state of emergency. When we get there, be rest assured, Akabli, that this government will do so without hesitation. But until then, I think it is fair for them to give us this time to be able to assess the impact of our policy.
Just a minute, quickly.
Yes, my point is that government is a continuum. And it being a continuum, there is no cessation of it. Just that political parties come and go. So definitely an opposition or a political party in opposition should definitely have alternatives to the problems of the country. So coming into government, it is not now that you are throtting into heat to say that, give me this extent of time, give me this opportunity to do A, B, C, D. The problems which inhibits the people or the masses exist with them. So coming into being, you should have the answers to them. And by that, you see, the problem is that if you are doing reclamation of land, how do you stop a canker when it is happening? So it is just like you have ants at Ant Hill, and you say, let me put water there, then it floods them. But when the water dries up, they come back again and they begin to build up more. That is what we are doing. That's the firefighting approach that we are doing. But if you put an hands-on cessation, we are halting it for now, a temporary ban by state of emergency. Now we do auditing, we evaluate, we put in the legal measures. I've already spoken about the jurisprudential issue about it, the recognition of the law, and how Professor Hart indicates that it creates a chaos in the legal system to say that it is no legal system at all. When it comes to that area of the law, then it means that the government ought to act timeously, because in the next year or two, it becomes an election year campaign and all of that, which Ghanaians will not want to have.
That's fine. Just quickly.
Agable, I'm glad the council has laid the foundation, and indeed, he is preaching according to the gospel of Alan. Indeed, that has been our position as members of Movement for Change, that there should be a complete ban for a period of 1 year on small-scale mining in this country. And then licenses that have been issued for the past 15 years, right, should be revoked. And then we should have a complete audit. After the auditing, right, they would realize that some companies are really abiding by the law and others are not abiding by the law, and then we take them on. Lastly, to add to that, We know that we have the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research. Yes. Under that umbrella, we have a Water Research Institute, and we have the Forestry Research Institute. We are proposing that there should be a collaboration between all these scientists and erudites in academia and this field, so that they can be able to bring innovative ways of how we can reclaim back our lands and our water bodies for this period of 1 year that we want a ban to be enforced.
That's fine.
And indeed, we need to also ensure responsible mining by our young people.
Okay.
Mining would be part of us, whether we like it or not. But Akable, let me make my point before you come in. Please. Galam, say we have the proposal. We have the solution. And it is fair we put it up. Because on this table, I think that there is some nexus between the proposal that we have and the contribution made by Senior Counsel here.
The great transformation.
Exactly, in the GTP. And I am glad that Hamza and his party have received same. When we lost the election, we proposed and we gave them a copy of the Great Transformational Plan.
The environment, the minister has a copy. I'm sure he will.
The minister, president himself has a copy.
So that they will look into
and indeed, we want to see some form of responsible mining in our country. We have innovative ways on how to ensure responsible alluvial mining, right? There are new technologies. Let us trap all these technologies and support young people in this venture so that they can be able to mine responsibly.
Hamza, 30 seconds.
Yes,
just 30
I
seconds.
hope so.
Just 30 seconds.
You see,
I don't think there's any point if not canvassed already.
Yes,
just emphasis.
I listened to Senior Counsel and I was a bit uncomfortable. I think that there's an abuse of the word continuum when it comes to the activities of government, or a misunderstanding of it. First of all the references are made to interventions by this government seeks to suggest that there was a re-evaluation of the steps taken by the previous government. And realignments, readjustments in certain areas, and reintroduction of new policies still in line with the Ghana dream that we feel can deliver results when it comes to the sustainability approach of dealing with the issues of illegal mining. And so there's that continuum. It is erroneous to create the impression that indeed our interventions or the only way to demonstrate continuum is a declaration of state of emergency. Absolutely not. And let us not create the impression as though this government is against the declaration of a state of emergency. We have told you that, look, there are certain benchmarks that we have as a government.
And we are not there yet. I think
we are not there yet, but finally, please, we are not yet there.
Yes.
And if we get there, be rest assured that we will declare a state of emergency. As for the concerns, we will not behave like the ostrich and condemn the frustrations of the Ghanaian people. We believe, and it is legitimate, that indeed Ghanaians expect more, and we will do more in that fight. At the end of the day, we would make ourselves available for this republic once again to have a discussion on how well we have performed when it comes to the fight against illegal mining. But this is not a fight this government takes lightly. This is not a fight His Excellency President Mahama would take lightly because he knows that it has serious repercussions for his own legacy and image as President of the Republic of Ghana. So be rest assured, we have listened to the Christian Council of Ghana, we have listened to UTAC and many other professional bodies. And my only advice is that I think that if they are so pushed about, or if they are so determined about the declaration of a state of emergency, we can have a coalition. They can put something on paper, or proposal, as to how to go about that state of emergency without necessarily.
Oh, they said they've met the president. They've made
no, it's not just about making calls. I'm making a suggestion as a citizen of the Republic of Ghana. Nothing detracts from at least the fight if we can also make meaningful contributions in the form of a strategic approach that we feel that government can take when it comes to the declaration of state of emergency. Then we can have these discourses and possibly join in demanding a declaration of state of emergency now. Maybe that will broaden the perspective.
So that's it. That's okay for now. I mean, for the Galamsey conversation, we'll have it till it is resolved. I mean, I think the general consensus, and there's a point I make always. I don't think there's any Ghanaian, be it at the Jubilee House or outside of the Jubilee House, that does not agree that we have to end illegal mining. I think we all agree on that. And so it's one thing that we'll continue to have, whether or not we are moving as fast as we should. It's one thing that we cannot disagree on, but we all agree that we have to end it once and for all. So that is it for the first topic. Let's quickly switch to the second issue, and I want us to take a listen to Dr. Dominic Ayine is the Attorney General and Minister responsible for Justice, who spoke at the Ghana Bar Association conference yesterday, where he raised some questions about how the bar has been behaving in the last couple of years. Listen to Dr. Dominic Ayine.
Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Arabatokono. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed? The three petitions aforementioned touch and concern office holders of three constitutional bodies critical to the sustenance of our democracy. The independence of the three institutions has been guaranteed by the Constitution. The three occupants were all women of significant repute and members of our noble profession. The three committees established pursuant to Article 146 complied with the constitutional procedure to the letter. And yet, the bar found its voice only in relation to the third petition. Coincidentally, the voice of the bar amplified the voice of the opposition. The lawyer in politics must be a voice of reason, moderation, and constitutionalism. The bar must speak out not to please governments or opposition parties, but to defend the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the rights of the ordinary citizen.
That's the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine there. I will isolate the lawyers for a second. Let me start with Doc. Right, baby. Doc, you don't belong to the association, so, I mean, just freely express yourself.
Isolate yourself.
I mean,
so indeed, I'll host them.
Yeah. I mean, Doc, where do you stand? I mean, he traces the history, and he says that this is a process that we've gone through 3 times. Yeah. On the 2 occasions, the GBA, whether differently constituted one way or the other, did not complain. And the complaint they are raising, to the extent that he says, they are not necessarily factual, they are more of the legal framework in place. So those are complaints that you obviously could not have discovered 2 days ago. There are things that have already been there. The law is the same 146 procedure. Do you find it to be a fair concern raised by Dr. Ayine?
Indeed, if you look at his speech, whatever he said holds merit and has been sold on to history. And we were in this country where Charlotte Osei, who was a lawyer, who was a former EC boss, was removed under the same circumstance. We didn't hear anything from the GBA. We were in this country where the SWA administration, led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Mahmoud Bawumia, removed or forcefully allowed Yao Daniel Domlovo, the Auditor General, to go on a forced leave and then retired. We were in this country where the people of Sao were denied a fair representation in Parliament. We didn't hear the GBA speak. We were in this country where innocent protesters were remanded for 2 weeks in prison and police custody. We didn't hear the GBA speak. So indeed, it begs the question, and that's what I hear on the streets of Ghana, that anytime the MPP is in opposition, and when I say the MPP, I mean Nana's People's Party. If you know the MPP very well and what it stands for, you would not see the kind of faces that are leading it today and the kind of stance that they have and the way and manner in which they conduct themselves. That's why I refer to Nana's People's Party. You will not see any reasonable Ghanaian on the street say that today this bar association, which is in line with MPP's agenda, is indeed a bar association and is not a chop bar association. And that is what people call it. No, people call it. I mean, that's what I'm saying, that I hear from the streets, not me. It is not my invention. Okay. That anytime the MPP is in opposition, they turn into a chop bar association. But when MPP is in power, they become a bar association. So this...
that's what they are saying on the street.
That's what they are saying on the street. And I'm conveying the message to them today, using your medium. This is not my creation. I beg your pardon. I know you're all lawyers here. And I have a lot of friends. Hamza is my very good friend. And many more learned senior counsels that are indeed in good standing with me. And if I have any trouble as well, Joseph, I will also call on a lawyer. And so I would not want to use the same derogatory statements that I use on the street. But this is what the people of Ghana are saying on the streets. And the GBA needs to really uphold to its objects enshrined in its constitution to ensure professionalism and ensure independence, devoid of any political influence. And that is why, if you look at the removal of this current Chief Justice, there was nothing wrong with the process. It was based on law, it was based on the constitution. And indeed, it was it had merits grounded by law. There was some form of meritocracy in the petition. Okay. And that is why we are calling on a reform in our constitution, that today we run a unicameral parliamentary system. We hope going forward, and as part of the proposal of the Movement for Change, that Ghana transforms into a bicameral parliamentary system, that nobody from the executive should appoint heads of independent constitutional bodies, and that we should have a second chamber, parliament, a second parliament that will be made up of our traditional authorities, our faith-based organization, our youth-led organizations, CSOs, representatives from persons with disability, the media, labor unions, right, trade unions, and indeed industry captains that would come together to appoint heads of independent constitutional bodies and would not be left with the executive. And we've seen how the executive, under our 1992 Republican Constitution, has abused the power. And the winner takes it all syndrome enshrined in our constitution and use that has fueled the kind of duopoly that we have in our current political dispensation, has resulted to these issues that we are faced with. So we want to see some form of constitutional reform going forward. And I'm sure that learned counsel seated here agree with me that it is time we look at the 1992 Constitution. The present needs and the present challenges of Ghana today requires a constitutional amendment. And I'm sure we all agree with that.
All right.
And that is why we are calling on the Professor Prempeh Constitutional Review Committee to accept and adopt the position and the proposals of the Movement for Change that we need to transition into a bicameral parliamentary system which would not be made up of state actors and political actors, so that we can be able to mitigate the issues of political polarization in our society and indeed the influence of politics in our public administration.
Okay. Let me come to Mr. Mames now. Sure. And I mean, he very unpalatable description for the bar association.
Not me.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you've conveyed it.
I conveyed it that the people of Ghana, the streets are saying.
Substantively, the Ghana Bar Association that many of us read about in the 90s, and if you look at the Ghana Law reports from the 90s to the latter parts of towards 2000, we see the GBA being a force to reckon with. I mean, you can even go back to the 80s when Samuel Kujeto led the Accra Bar. I mean, we saw what happened in those eras. I mean, the bar more or less reflected the conscience of the people. I mean, do you share some of what he says he's conveying from the streets on what has become of your association, a group you belong to?
Sure. So I'll start by saying that our association with council, it starts with a capital B. So it is not the choba or the bar with a small G. Yes, I share in that, I mean, the times of Darucha, Mr. Koum and all of that, I mean, the bar was a force to reckon with. It shared a lot of spectrum of law with the general public and advanced the cause of constitutionalism and all of that. Now, Ghana Bar Association now and what's going on with the Attorney General, I would want to analyze it in this perspective of law with hindsight of Article 146. Now, I see where the learned Attorney General is coming from, that you should have said something, blah, blah, all of that. And that whatever happened to the former Chief Justice was with law or in accordance with the law. And that ascribes to the point that it is law. And that is the positivist point of view in what we call legal theory and jurisprudence, that nothing untoward happened. We followed the law. Now, the Ghana Bar Association's position is that, yes, there were subtle unfairness, the uncertainty of the law, and complaints about that. Now, there are even further complaints that as to whether to use CI 47 or to use committee or commission of inquiry procedures, there was issues about which rule to adopt in respect of the procedure. So procedural ambiguity and all of that. Now, they also are coming from the moralist or the natural law theory point of view. Now, so that places it in Professor J.L. Hart's argument and then Ian Fuller's argument on morality. Now, but there's a certain convergence between the two, Ghana Bar Association and Attorney General. Now, this is the catch. Now, we have what you call the separation thesis, which deals with what is the law and what it ought to be. Now, what is Article 146? And basically, that is what the president followed. Indeed, it must be made known that there was no deviation as far as Article 146 is concerned. The problem there is, when we go into, again, Professor Hart's concept of law, it indicates that we have primary rules. And in primary rules, they are the basic rules that govern a society. That beyond expansion, it becomes static, and that is one of the defects. Static in the sense that it lacks changing. Now, Article 146 has lacked changing because if you look at the Ghana Bar Association's Ghana Bar Association Attorney General, and then you also look at the Frank Chum and Attorney General, there has been a lot of call for amendments, you know, in respect of Article 146. Dateba, who gave the lead judgment, gave and made a lot of calls in respect of Article 146. It's been close to about 20 years. We've not seen that particular amendment. Now, he even went on to say that even the use of the word prima facie was omitted. And we have what we call the penumbra of the law, as Professor Hart emphasized, that in the penumbra of the law, judges are given the discretion to fill in the gap. And that sometimes could be problematic, but that is not the point we are dealing with. And that the ban in that particular case filled in the law to say that it was an inadvertence of the framers of the Constitution, and that prima facie should be construed as that, so that the flow of law would be logical, consistent, and relevant to modern time. Now, we also see that Article 146 as a primary rule lacks what we call uncertainty. I've already dealt with that vis-a-vis the discrepancies or the uncertainties as raised by the Ghana Bar Association. Now, in dealing with some of these primary laws, in the concept of law or in legal theory, we have what we call the secondary rules. The secondary rules comes to cure this particular situation.
I mean, but these laws and how they look and how they operate, they have been the same. We've used it multiple times.
So this is the catch. When the secondary rule comes in, the secondary rule comes in with certainty. It comes in with, in that certainty, we have what we call the rule of recognition. The rule of recognition deals with the certainty of the law. And where do we get the certainty of the law? We get it from Parliament.
We don't have that yet. So, I mean, with what we have and what we have been asking, the question that is being asked is, do you think the GB has been fair to the National Democratic Congress?
Coming to that, the majority leader had indicated that there will be a regulation to sanitize Article 146. That is a bold step in dealing or in reconstructing the legal system with which affects that particular rule of the law.
Okay.
And that would cause the certainty in that particular area.
Okay.
And that would ensure that the minimum content of the law has been met when that particular reconstruction happens. That would mean that it will synthesize with the proposition maintained by the current Ghana Bar Association executives, who maintained that, yes, there were times that we saw Charlotte say removed and all of that, that my brother also enumerated. But does it mean that we must stick to that position?
Yeah, but if you are going to address it, I mean, fairness requires that you state quite clearly that, yes, in the past, we did not comment on these matters, but we admit that back then, the law was problematic.
Absolutely.
If you separate the two, then it's like you've buried your head and you just lifted your head and you are now you're addressing it. And that's the concern that...
Yes, so raised. I agree with you that that is a communication problem, but his position, I mean, their position yesterday as a rejoinder to what the AG said, they believe that the law must evolve. Definitely, the law evolves, and the evolution of the law means that there must be change and certainty. And when both parties agree in that, and we have a regulation coming in, that makes the legal system more certain, and more ascertainable, and more accessible.
Let me come to Council as well. And Dr. Aina has made a point already, so hold on with that, Dr. Aina's point. I mean, as a member of the Bar Association, I mean, it's an association of lawyers, basically. Like, what do you think accounts for what Dr. Aina has observed happen? What do you, in your honest opinion, speak directly to it? What do you think is accounting for it?
Politics. Partisan infiltration into the activities of the Ghana Bar Association. And that is why I was taken aback by the tangential response of senior counsel when he was asked a direct question about the posture of the GBA in relation to the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party.
I'm not a politician.
I understand. You see, but you see, senior counsel, please. But you see, we are lawyers, and the direct question was posed. And in this country, we must, even if we are talking academics, we must do so in principle. And so that's why I refer to your submissions as quite tangential. The issue before us is not the theoretical jurisprudence of the activities of the Ghana Bar Association. Absolutely not. That issue has been settled. It is not for nothing that even when it comes to constitutional interpretation, you know that it is a fundamental principle that our constitution grows, and it is a living organism, as decided in a number of other cases, capable of growth. So that has been settled in terms of the heart debate.
Not exactly.
You see, no. You see, in really, please. I was quiet. I disagree with many of the things you said, but I was quiet. It's been settled. There's opportunity for growth. The Constitution can always grow. Amendments can happen. Suggestions can be made that could lead to progressive amendments to the Constitution. So that issue is settled in Ghana. But you see, the problem with our association, and which you don't want to agree, is the selective application of the principles of advocacy when it comes to demands on the governments of the day. And we must be bold to point that out. And yesterday, when I listened to the Attorney General, Akable, I was extremely excited. Because I have been looking for that opportunity for someone to grow the balls, to be able to look the Ghana Bar Association in the face and say that, look, you are deviating from your core mandate of consistency when it comes to application of legal advocacy and principles. And he did just that. And interestingly, he's now the leader of the Ghana Bar. Who is best positioned to prompt them, if not their leader? When things go wrong in this government, even the Ghana Bar Association requires His Excellency President Mahama to intervene when it comes to excesses of his ministers and his appointees, because they say he's the leader. But when it comes to the Attorney General, the leader of the Ghana Bar Association, questioning the conduct of his own association and calling on them to reform, he shouldn't do so because, in the words of, what's the name of the Deputy Attorney General?
Sorry.
No. Trinidad under NPP. Yes. Alfred Tuayabua. That because he's part of the bar, and so he's admitting to his own incompetence. Really?
But
what kind of strange logic is
but
it?
You made a point about the political infiltration.
Yes.
I mean, how has that happened? You guys vote for your leaders, and they...
Yes, we do, but it does not mean that they are not susceptible to political influence. And that was the point the Attorney General was indirectly making. Because we have all seen the activities of the Ghana Bar Association under the previous regime, like he clearly indicated. Article 146 was used in the case of Charlotte Osei. It was used in the case of Loretta Lamte. Indeed, in the Charlotte Osei case, there were many unfair references to Article 146 procedure. Did you ever hear the Ghana Bar Association? Did they make any statement on it? Absolutely not. And so today, if there's a new political party in power, and they have also invoked the same Article 146 and using it, and suddenly you find your voice, it is only proper for people to conclude that your activities are political in nature, especially so when you have, as president of the Ghana Bar Association, a politically exposed person, an individual who there's direct evidence of mounting political party platforms with their husband to campaign for flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. So this is actually the time for the Ghana Bar Association to have demonstrated extreme care because of the person leading it. Her partisan sympathies and affiliations were seen and were experienced when her husband decided to contest for flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party.
But the question one will ask is that, I mean, there was a previous president as well, and from the Attorney General.
Yeah, so but that is the point I'm saying, that is why we need to even be careful now as a bar, because this is the time we are even having an identifiable, politically exposed person leading it. You understand the point I'm making? And so the calls are in good direction. And you see, Akable, it is important for us to understand. You see, we are missing one point the Attorney General also said. The unfortunate partisanship is not the only problem, but the invitation to external associations to interfere with the sovereignty of this republic must also be condemned. If you look at Article 1.1 of our Constitution, it is clear that the sovereignty of Ghana resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the powers of governments are to be exercised in the manner and within the limits laid down in this Constitution. End of quote.
Okay.
And yet still, we have a Ghana Bar Association that decided, because of partisanship, to go out of its way to even involve external bar associations like the British Bar Council, the Bar Council of the United Kingdom, into our activities in direct disregard for Article 1.1 of our 1992 Constitution. And also not being mindful of the repercussions that could have had on state sovereignty. And these are some of the issues we should be concerned about. And we have promised a reset. I would have been hugely disappointed if the Attorney General had gone to that particular function without taking advantage of the NDC's reset agenda to demand a reset of even the activities of the Ghana Bar Association. And for me, it was fulfilling listening to him. And I was excited because, look, I hold so much reverence for the Ghana Bar Association. I started reading about the Ghana Bar Association as early as when I was in junior high school because I knew my direction. And I was inspired by many of their actions. But I cannot say same now. So the challenge is on us. Those of us who are part of the professions, senior, it is not enough to throw out legal theories. We are at a stage where we must call on the association to reform. We are at a stage where we must demand accountability of our leaders. When the Attorney General was making the statement, when the Attorney General was making the statement, didn't we hear lawyers there clapping?
Yes.
They were excited because they agreed with the Attorney General.
Thank you.
And these are some of the issues we should be talking about. Article that was published on the 3rd of May this year, which says that GBA's demand of the president to revoke the suspension of the Chief Justice is not supported by law. It was published on on 3 News. I want him to understand that I agree with him that in recent time, the concerns held by many, it is not abstract. I wrote an article that indicated that the position of the Ghana Bar Association was never supported in law. You get it? But my point is that I am looking beyond it. I am looking at the advancement of law because even as a lawyer, I'm still a student of the law, and I love the law.
Okay.
So
I
the
mean, I think
the law is the most important thing to me.
I think you made that
not
point.
Not necessarily about the politics.
I think you made that point.
I am not too much into the politics.
No. I think the point. I think it's fine.
It's only fair for me to. NDC in principle is not against.
Yes, the majority leader has also said the same. So we are all
in terms of the law, but it is important for me to make this last point.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Indulge me. You see, when we talk about the Ghana bar, why are you smiling? When we talk about the Ghana bar situation,
yes,
we don't speak about it with disdain.
Okay.
Yeah.
We speak about it the way we do, because indeed we require it to reform. It is the same Ghana bar situation. When the processes were started, Article 146, didn't they say that they were going to court? Remember, their initial statement was that refrain from comment.
Yes.
Until they went for that emergency conference, and it was hijacked by the likes of Diana Asantehemaa, the former Deputy Attorney General under Nanado, and influenced the processes. And they came to threaten that indeed they were going to go to court because they believed that the intervention of the president was unconstitutional. Did they go to court?
That did not happen.
Did they go to court? It is because they knew.
So that's fine. That's
what the president was doing was clearly in line with the 1992 constitution. And so these are some of the double standards that we must expose. So that's even as members of that particular one.
I think the points have been made. The points have been made.
Would be exploited by various political parties.
I think that
until it is amended.
That's fine.
And that is why. So I'm not just making theoretical arguments, but I'm making fundamental point of law.
Okay.
That is what Dr. Ban also indicated, that until we get amendments, it will be exploited by various political parties
who
form government.
Doc, you're not going to get a reply. You don't belong, unless you belong to the association.
Oh, well, which one?
That's why you should have
the Ghana Bar Association.
The Chop Bar Association.
Yes. That is all time. That is all. Yes. That is all time will allow us. Just a quick message here that has come in from Ebu Bakman. You said that certain dominant partisan elements within the Ghana Bar Association have unfortunately recently positioned or presented the association as an extension of the MPP, akin to groups such as, Nasara or Tescom. The association needs serious reforms. And then over here, another one message, you said that the GBA president isn't the leader of the bar. Dominic Akuritinga Ayine, the Attorney General, is the one and only leader of the bar. He has all rights to correct those he leads. There must be some consistency in the public advocacy of the bar on national issues. I'm not surprised his speech was greeted with a thunderous ovation. I'm still yet to hear from our MPP lawyers the particular law that was breached in the removal of Mrs. Tokon. I don't know whether I have your permission to mention your name, so I can't do that now. No, Doc, it's fine.
The reference I made.
Yeah, you said it was from the streets. You said that. You made that point.
So
you made that point.
I respect.
And so, in terms of my guests this morning have been Dr. Ramsey Inusa, Director.
To also capture the Foreign Affairs Minister's revelation that indeed now his engagement with China, in terms of our fight against illegal.
No, we did it actually this morning on the morning news.
Brilliant, because it is important for your viewers.
Yes, Dr. Ramsey Inusa, Director, Political Research Movement for Change, and the other guest on the panel, Christian Mam Hesse and Hamza Suini. They are both members of the Ghana Bar Association. They also joined us for this conversation this morning. If you want to look smart and fashionable, visit any Woodin boutique nationwide today. Woodin offers an amazing collection of authentic African fabrics and ready-to-wear that come in beautiful designs and colors for men and women. With Woodin, you can get creative and versatile with your designs. Be confident and show off how truly African you are in Woodin. Go to a Woodin boutique near you today and choose from a variety of trendy products to complement your unique style. You can follow Woodin Fashion on Facebook, Instagram at Woodin Fashion, and TikTok at Woodin_fashion. That is all for this part of the show. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we have sports and some other interviews that will come up much later on the show. Stay tuned in.